So just to do a small review of the 4 seals. The first seal says anything that is conditioned is impermanent, which is true in the sense anything conditioned means anything that is produced by causes and conditions are impermanent. Is that clear? Anything that is produced by causes and conditions is impermanent because you are dependent on others' causes and conditions. You have, in that sense, you have no freedom. And especially in this context, when we talk about all conditioned things are impermanent, we are not just saying any kind of impermanence produced by causes and conditions, but here we are primarily talking about an impermanent psychophysical aggregate, an impermanent self, which is produced by causes and conditions which are none other than destructive emotions and contaminated actions. Duje thamje dunge se duje thamje medawa se ngazu ngaransu ge lyudang sugdang khangza medawa chaye dikora medawa se tegas medawa se gomarda tanda ngazu medawa de gyu le da nyomong bol tene chungshajo insa ta gange chenyang re se gore tene insa tejer medale dunge. Therefore there is a statement saying, therefore from impermanence you understand suffering, meaning that your impermanent nature is such that it is a product of contaminated actions and afflictive emotions. Therefore, it is suffering. See what Chasumadi? Therefore, it is suffering. Just to give an example. For example, if you develop very strong anger, will you be happy or will you suffer? Suffering not this. There is nobody who right in the morning makes a motivation saying, I'll get angry. Is there anybody who makes a motivation right in the morning saying, I'll get angry? No. Because you have some idea, anger is not good. But however, in the course of the day, when you work with people, especially with annoying, strange, disturbing people, then you get angry. And sometimes so much so that you pick a fight with that person. But then again, in the end of the day, when you recollect what you've done, again there will be nobody who will say that today I was angry, fought with somebody, so I really enjoyed the day. Madhugadi. So that's what he's saying. Impermanent nature produced by negative emotions and contaminated actions are liable to suffering. Sickness, aging, death, whatever, all kinds of sufferings are possible because the cause by which you are produced is unhealthy, negative actions. In a way, it is saying, therefore, you should not engage in negative actions. Therefore, you should not cultivate negative emotions because if you do so, you will suffer. 100% guaranteed. Many a times we think that I got angry and said something, so I did my job, This fellow was always bullying me, but today I really challenged him. I was angry and I said the thing that I wanted to say. So then you feel you almost, won. But the true thing is that you are upset, you are angry, you are blind. When you get angry, you become blind. So therefore, now here what is really important is you need to sit down, not just reading the book, use your brain, common sense, and count the names of all these so-called negative emotions. Anger, for example. We are all experienced people in terms of getting angry. We get angry frequently. What did you really get? This some good. Let us not make it like confusing or irrelevant, based on your own experience. If anger is really good, it's really helpful, then you have every right to get angry all the time. This is that. If you yourself judge it and find it, then you'll be able to see how destructive it is. Similarly, dosha khari jujala chagayunanda, mile chagayunanda, di chakwa dilatene, and the danger digi huge togayuna, Tayakura cha, and Kasi chana cha. Zamulin Kora chakwa wangi chin, jujala chaza, jujala chaza chan, jug, everybody is saying I'm busy. Jujala chan, dit on the jugurma, the Chanda Kiki, Hian Pendo chi tendal shogin, the Tilajan Jugden Sudo, Madua, just a chambudu teda. You can hear Tibetan? Not? So I'm specially using Tibetan so that you will be inspired to learn more Tibetan. So what I was saying is, if you look carefully, why people are running everywhere? People are not running with altruistic motivation, compassionate motivation, loving motivation to help others. No. There may be few stray cases, but generally not. People are running for what? For job, for work, for money. And why they run for money and job? Because of desire. I want this, I need this, for that I need money. So with all this running after desire, if we are to get happiness by this time, we should be much happier, which is not. With all the scientific technological inventions, we can travel from one country to another country within few hours. Speed increased. Whether it's writing a letter or traveling, whatever, with the help of science and technology, speed has really increased multifold, and we are still running. So by running, are you getting more rest? Are you happier? I don't think so. And running for what, in fact? So many of the things that you want to achieve in life, you will achieve not just by running, but sitting and exploring within yourself. That is what Buddha did. And not only Buddha, all the great inventions that we are enjoying today, benefit of which is we are enjoying today, are done by people who started thinking, who did research. And unfortunately, many times it is external research, related to external things. But when you talk about peace and happiness, this kind of inner qualities achieved by reflecting within. Right? So therefore it is important, because at the end of the day, as I repeatedly said, at the end of the day, whether you like it or not, nobody can give you long-lasting happiness. If there's somebody who can give you long-lasting happiness, tell me. I want to follow that secret. Everybody wants happiness. There's no question about that. Everybody wants peace, and especially long-lasting peace and happiness. So who is going to give you? Will God give you? Forget about God. God, we have no idea also. Even Buddha, we have not much idea. We are Buddhists, we should have more idea, but we don't have much idea. And Buddha himself clearly said, I cannot give you nirvana. I cannot give you peace. I can only show you the path you need to practice. Your best friend, your best father, mother, whoever, they can help you to an extent, but not the long-lasting peace. They will also go, they will also die, things like that. Remare. Right, remare. So therefore, there is no other choice. If there is a better choice, of course you have every right to go for that. But there is no better choice. On the one hand, with the science and technology, it looks like things are improving. You visit a market and you see all these glamorous things and shiny gadgets. And it looks like the world is at the tip of your finger. You just roll these things in the screen and you have all the information of the world. So what? So what? How did this information that you are getting improved your well-being and happiness? With this scientific invention and discovery, did that contributed to harmony among people? Seriously, please tell me. You need to think. There are many things invented to see, to waste your money, spend your money, whatever. Some facilities are there, that's true. Certain medicines or, facilities for quicker communication. Yes, there are wonderful things discovered by science and technology. But what I'm saying is, when we talk about the real peace, real happiness, how much science and technology has contributed is questionable, or even if there are some, it's very, very limited. Still we are fighting. Still we are experiencing so many problems, and many problems are unnecessary problems. Unnecessary in the sense, many of these problems are created by our stupid human mind. Chi jumpeta, some jumpeta, and dunge mango shene. And now we are hearing all kinds of diseases which we've never heard before. Because you don't have a sense of how you should live your life, and you do all kinds of things, and then you get all these diseases. So therefore, but I'm not trying to give you a bleak picture. What I'm saying is, this is a truth, this is a bitter truth. But I'm not saying there is no solution. There is solution. Provided if we change our way of thinking, our way of life, if we become more compassionate, more loving, things can change. There will be dramatic change. There will be dramatic change. Right? Let me read this piece. A scientist's view of transformation. A new approach for a new world. In this time of powerful change, as many of our systems appear to be collapsing, and the intricate elements of the web of life seem to hang in the balance, there is a new story emerging. Don't get pessimistic. He's saying, although things are collapsing, but there is a new story emerging, the beginning of a true transformation that is possible. The true transformation takes place when you really encounter huge problem. When you don't see any other alternative, then finally, you start doing better things. So that's why he's saying the beginning of a true transformation. According to this cellular biologist and author of the Biology of Belief, Bruce Lipton, he says, for a dynamic exploration of the extraordinary evolutionary opportunity, the evolution that we are talking about. For a long time, we have all been talking about evolution comes gradually, systematically. It takes a long time. Things change after millions of years, things like that. But with this new discovery, he says, what does conscious evolution mean to you? And he says, as a biological scientist, I am frequently asked about the concept of spontaneous evolution, which is very near and dear to my heart. What it means to me is this, that we have all been programmed with the belief that evolution occurs over millions and millions of years with imperceptible changes occurring that ultimately lead to great evolutionary advances. It takes a long, long time. That's what our thinking. Now he says, this belief turns out not to be necessarily correct. And what is correct is, in fact, there are two scientists, Stephen Jay Gould and Niles Eldridge, who realized that when they went over the evolutionary history, there were long periods when things were in stasis. That means when you think about the long evolution process, there are long periods when nothing happens. Things remain in a static form. Where things were just in stasis means where things were just in equilibrium and balance, and then there were these upheavals. Samlo ne making hopes in the Jurvadile. After an upheaval, it would shake everything all off and then it would start all over again. They called it punctuated equilibrium. The concept of this long continuous process is now recognized to be abbreviated with these punctuation marks, where something, I don't want to read all this. So he gives an example by saying, the relevance of that is the human behavior within this change. What is really relevant is the relevance of that is the human behavior can change overnight. In a way, you cannot change. It takes a long time. You need practice. That's what we are saying in Buddhism. But sometimes it can change overnight. How? For example, the falling of the Berlin Wall was an overnight event. It's a huge change. And in fact, just before the Berlin Wall fell, I was there. I was with His Holiness and we were put in a hotel where we can see the Berlin Wall. Right? Spontaneous evolution to me says, don't look and say, oh my God, in hundreds and thousands of years changes will occur. They malabs. Don't say that. Recognize that changes can occur tomorrow. I mean, that's quite encouraging for the Tibetans who struggle for our freedom, our right, with this opponent, which really looks like overwhelming, But it can change overnight. Right? And we should be prepared to seize that moment when changes take place. So the changes will happen, but the real question is, are we prepared to seize that moment and take our rightful place? That is the point. And that these changes in our world, because of our global interconnection with each other, really reflect to us that evolution can take place in hours on our planet. This is really wonderful because it gives us great hope that we can make vast changes and survive through the crisis, through the crisis we have created. Just one small example based on scientific finding. Anyway, without beating about the bush, let us come to the topic. So, the first two cells, more or less, you have understood. All conditioned things impermanent, that primarily refers in this context to our psychophysical aggregate, which is impermanent due to the unfortunate causes of negative emotions and polluted actions. Therefore, we are suffering. Suffering, we don't have to explain. Headache is there. Right now, we are suffering a little bit because of cold, things like that. Suffering. Then the third seal, second seal is all contaminated things are suffering. Contaminated means anything that is a product of contaminated means negative emotions and polluted actions. Third seal says, therefore, there is all phenomena are selfless and empty. Selfless and empty means, now this is a philosophical viewpoint which can be explained in accordance with all the four Buddhist schools of thought, but primarily it is saying that normally when you think about yourself, you call yourself I or me. So where is this I? Now this is the topic we are discussing now. Where is this I? Ordinarily we think that the I is there from its own side, independently, self-supporting, substantially existent from its own side. Of course there is an I, but not in the way we think. That's the point. I'm not saying, the Buddhist teachings are not saying there is no I, there is I. But when we say selfless, we are saying there is no I which you think, the way you think. The way we think about I is an I existing from its own side, without dependent on causes and conditions, without dependent on names and designations, permanent, unchanging. Is there such a self? No. Even if you look at your own body, it has changed so much during the last many years. If you compare your photo today with the photo when you were like 3-month baby, it's difficult to recognize. It's beyond recognition. But the same continuity, same person, as we normally say. Conventionally, we say this is the same person. But from the ultimate point of view, if you think the continuity is there, but because of that, if you think there is an I which is unchanging, concrete, absolute, existing from its side, then you are wrong. This concept, this wrong idea must be negated. Why? Because when you think you are something that has independent existence, then you develop all these other negative emotions, anger, jealousy, hatred. I existing from its own side. If you have this tight grasping, tight hold on such a false I, then because of this tight grasping to the I, you become nasty. You become negative. And for this I, which you thought is absolute, you need to fight with somebody. You need to develop attachment with somebody. There's an enemy to fight. There is a friend to look after, things like that. And then you don't think about death, of course. How dare he say these things to me? Me here, existing from its own side. But where is this I? Where is this I? Tell me, where is this I? What I'm seeing right now is your body. You are seeing my body. Seeing with your eye means seeing something physical, body. You cannot see me. Technically speaking, you cannot see me. And what you are seeing is my body. My body is not me. My mind is not me. My body and my mind, these are my attributes. These are what I possess, what I own. That's why I say my body, my mind. My mind is not happy. My body, I'm feeling cold right now. That means you make a distinction between possessor and the possession. So possessor, the question is, where is this I, the possessor? How do that? Search that I from the top of your head down to the sole of your feet. Where is that I? That's the question. Tell me. I'm not saying still. I don't know whether you will understand it or not. I mean, this is not easy. But try to understand this. This is very, very important. Very, very important. So not only I, anything existing, exists just through designation. For example, this microphone. Is this microphone? Reve? Is this microphone? Now if I say I will speak through the microphone, you will not get surprised. Because somebody give the name microphone, everybody agreed, yes, we can call it microphone, there is no disagreement. That's it. There is no microphone existing from its own side. That's my point. If right in the beginning, somebody, instead of giving the name microphone, if somebody had given the name elephant, that today if I say I'm now speaking through the elephant, you'll not laugh. Now if I say I'll speak through the elephant, you might say that Geshe Lhakdor is now gone crazy. But there's no microphone right from the beginning. Somebody give the name. The instrument is there, but it's dependent on the name, designation. Redu Madu. So there's the main point. Now, if this is difficult to understand, then what I'm saying is, how you perceive things is very much dependent upon how you want to see things. So your mind plays a huge role in determining your likes and dislikes. For example, I'll make this very, very clear, then you will get some sense. If you fancy somebody, you want to marry somebody, then because of your desire, attachment, and other conditions, you might see this person, wow, wonderful. I want to marry this person, so wonderful. It's you who is saying that. Not everybody will say that to this person. Michikla sangma de yagala dinyam de changsa yagase lagmudwa. That means it is dependent upon your perspective. You see this person wonderful, another will say so. Third will say horrible. Who is right, who is wrong? It's not so much about who is right, who is wrong. It's really about how you see things. When you see things in a positive limelight, you get benefit, you happy. Oh, this is wonderful. When you see the same thing in a negative way, you get problem. That's what I'm saying. That's why understanding this philosophical point is so important. Things are designated. There's nothing from its own side. It means things come into being by many things coming together. For example, have you ever seen in New Delhi or somewhere people assembling cars or vehicles or bicycle or things like that? First you will see only the pieces separated. You don't see bicycle there. Then gradually the expert, the technician, he will fix everything. Then you, with that you can call it a car or taxi or bicycle or whatever. Kora bicycle se tangbo ne kora ngone keme do mangbo chi ru se ne ming ta hya de ta dili hiu chaka che ta di hiu du sen. And especially in the case of a car, not only the parts put together, but you can sit inside. Then especially if the outside, the painting is beautiful according to your taste. Car ning je la mo dina chi doi chung na BMW re cha mo hang sang ga che. Car de madi gung lang to chala de thong na khem do cha khyo da din de jang ja yu khyo da. Ta de ding na chön che da hang sang do di re. It's like that. Things are like that. So I'm not saying there is nothing good, nothing bad. There are things which we say good. There are things which we say bad. We talk about you, we talk about me. I'm not saying this is not there. But what I'm saying is, these are based on conventional designations. There's not much substance there. There's not much essence there to run after these things. Because if you do that, you'll get into problem. Now here you can recall you're going for a shopping in a mall. When you go inside the mall, the people there, they've arranged things beautifully. Because they already know you will come to see the appearances. Lamsang go kodo re samde tadik che kyar page. Dik kyar ning jo. In the case of fruit juice, it's inside maybe like many months old, but outside it looks nice. Some flowers, some colors. Chilo ning jo sudwa. Oh, the gogor thang che. Nga to gogor theu kyar. Then under that they put a label saying buy one free. Another way to fool you. We already hallucinated, but on top of that, they'll use all their tricks to draw you further into that quagmire of hallucination. So what I'm trying to say is that things are there, you can enjoy that, good things are there, bad things there, but not in the way we ordinarily think. If you understand that, then this will help you lessen your grasping, clinging. The go to Yakuya, Inaya, Cord Ninja, the Yaku, the Inaya, the Kwan Zodo, Hira Cheke, and Nimakashijel, Nimba or some of those. Chakbachungro, then the attachment and negative emotions will not be there. And when these things are not there, you will feel much happier. And when you have excessive grasping, then if you, for example, buy a new watch and you're very, very obsessed with it, suddenly you misplace it and you lose it, you feel so sad. Oh, be careful, because it's already all these things are fragile. Ngara temperature yore nga pesha hidame sabzab chenyar. And the last one okay. Came do say the yungro. Did you do any? Kangishira Timudwa. There's a huge difference. So therefore the third seal talks about the third seal then also Chiglogina. Let us continue where we left yesterday. So we start reading from the last two lines of page 2. Also ignorance must be, ignorance must not be perceived as a passive state of mere non-awareness. Rather, it is a deluded state of mind, a fundamental misapprehension of nature of reality. What did it? In the third seal, what we are talking about is all phenomena are empty and selfless. Meaning that all phenomena, including conditioned, unconditioned, permanent, impermanent phenomena, whatever type of phenomena it is, none of this has inherent, independent, absolute existence. Empty or selfless, basically same. According to the Parasangika Madhyamika, this is basically same. Without self means without independent existence. Empty means empty of independent existence. In the lower schools, they make some differentiation, which I am not going to talk about. We have not much time. Next one. Any phenomena, permanent, impermanent phenomena, because at the end of the day, these are all designations. They are dependent on something, so they don't have inherent independent existence. But when you think of anything that has independent inherent existence, that is called ignorance. Marikba says dua. Marikba, ignorance. So therefore, what he is saying is ignorance. Tanta the ignorance ignorance must not be perceived as a passive state of mere non-awareness. Marikba singing the Mashiba Samla Sigmares. Passive state of mere non-awareness means so it means ignorance is not just lack of knowledge. It's not just lack of knowledge. If it is just lack of knowledge, then it's more excusable. For example, small kids, if they make a mistake, then we know it's because of lack of knowledge, because of innocence, excusable. But if somebody who has the knowledge and intentionally does something, then we say he has the knowledge, he knows it. Cannot be excused. So therefore, ignorance must not be perceived as a passive state of mere non-awareness, mere lack of knowledge. But it is a deluded state of mind, a fundamental misapprehension of the nature of reality. What is nature of reality? Of anything. What is nature of reality? Nature of reality of anything, man, women, whoever, nature of reality is that nothing has independent existence. This is what. But this stupid, ignorant mind sees things as having independent existence. So it's not just lack of knowledge, but misconception of reality, and which is more dangerous. Machine Batsavina Kayamar Ninja, the Hijabana Kushendo, and Kelagmare. The machine Batola, Lordose. Misconception union, Tigan Tandu, Machine Bajitigan, Kora Jumsen Jatan, any the Duguiana, and the Pekaware, Mikashi didn't do a Koran Dutan. No normies in the Dubjit in the king, then Pekakudua. What this word? That's dangerous. And this kind of misapprehension, misconception of reality comes through study, unfortunately. Any Tidubji the Kiyu, and then take the Yosalam, that's the Pekakuyarata. This is clearly stated by various Indian masters such as Dharmakirti and Vasubandhu. Vasubandhu, for example, tells us in his Abhidharma Kosha, Treasury of Knowledge, that ignorance is not simply the absence of knowledge, but rather it is the antithesis of knowledge. Now here when we say knowledge means knowledge of reality, that things don't have independent existence. This ignorance is being the antithesis of knowledge. It says things have independent existence. It is misknowledge, a force actively opposing knowledge, using some reason, although it is wrong, but using some reason, as hostility opposes friendliness. But the dada tokuni se ora. Dada michigina ko chidna chambo mewa sa mai ba chene phajo de dana hi chu tagi yona ene kol khadina ka ba jab garo dina here and falsehood opposes truth. As long as beings are under the control of these forces of ignorance, then suffering will be there, and unsatisfactoriness will always remain integral parts of their mode of being. It is because of the fact that ignorance brings a lot of problems. That's why we go to school, to get knowledge, universities, or to attend Dharma teachings, to gain more knowledge about the reality. And it's through knowledge that we are able to invent and produce so many things. And especially if those productions are based on right motivation, then it can bring a lot of benefit to human beings. And we should not think that suffering or dukkha refers only to manifest. Now here, dukkha, suffering, is not referring only to manifest physical and mental sufferings, like on the level of emotion, or if you have a pain on the head and things like that. It's not talking just about that. It is extremely important that we remember that the underlying experience of discomfort and dissatisfaction are also dukkha. Deep down, it may be not the manifest one, but deep down there is an experience of discomfort and dissatisfaction, right? Then that's dukkha. And especially here, when we talk about achieving nirvana or liberation, we are talking about the conditioned suffering. The fact that your psychophysical aggregate itself is conditioned by negative emotions and contaminant actions, and therefore this psychophysical aggregate itself is susceptible to sufferings and problems. Our mind is very sensitive. If people say slightly, negative thing to you, you get so unhappy. I give you an example, convincing example. For example, this is coronavirus. See this, this coronavirus. This is happening primarily in Wuhan, in China, and people are of course terrified there. And then few stray cases in some other countries. And then this has been made into such a big issue, and unnecessarily people are getting fear. Here in Dharamsala, people started going to medical center to buy that. Fear manic. Because of this strong grasping to yourself. If there's a thunder and lightning, then you will start thinking the lightning will first hit on your head. Of all people, this is called unnecessary suffering because of strong grasping to yourself. Just before coming here, I was watching the latest news about this coronavirus. Australian, group of Australian physicians, they have isolated that virus from a patient, and now they are studying on it. So there was a big achievement. Now they can watch that virus, and then use some injections, and then see how to control it. It's already managed to do it. It's a big success. So when you hear that, thank God, That is a man. And the most important thing is not just this virus. In our daily life, you need to protect yourself, having a good sense of health, It's not like that when there are so many people, just right in front and, once when I was translating for His Holiness, group of newcomers from Tibet came to see His Holiness. Many elderly people were there. So they were all listening with great faith to His Holiness. And then suddenly one very elderly person, in front of His Holiness, This is habit, So we need to change this kind of habit to protect ourselves. Sneeze, for example, Geshe Lhakdor. So there are things, So sometimes unnecessarily, we need to protect ourselves. We need to be careful, but there's no point to develop unnecessary fear. Fear. Mangsa samlu seorwa. Kangtung kuma se jore. Selu tolo pasan jogdas. Kangtung kuma se. Kangbatung bale kuma mena samlu ke yodi kuma cha singro ji koyungdo. If you're sitting alone in your room, if you're fearful of ghost, ghost is not there, but because you have that fear, and when suddenly a cup falls or something, oh, ghost is there. It threw the cup down. As if there are a bunch of ghosts is unemployed and looking for somebody to. Tinte marwa. Tungde roji yo ina koran lega me bache nganzu no bache ran gu ding tinte tungde yo mar de some log so hyal do. Right? So dukkha refers not only to manifest physical and mental suffering. It is extremely important that we remember that the underlying experience of discomfort and dissatisfaction are also dukkha. By contemplating these two marks of conditioned existence, impermanence and dukkha, one can develop genuine renunciation. Unless you have a very good understanding of suffering, the three types, suffering of change, conditioned suffering. Then you will develop you will make an effort, you develop some wish to come out of that suffering. The Aryadeva in his famous text, 400 verses, he says, so there in his 400 verses he says, one who is not tired of this cycle of existence will never develop respect to nirvana or liberation. And he gives an example by saying, if you are very happy with your present house or home, why should you think about moving to America or Canada? But in your particular home, if there is a conflict among the family members or other problems there, then you start thinking about then day and night you think about moving somewhere. Similarly, if you get some sense of the rampant kind of many layers of suffering that is afflicting us, the more you recognize that, the more you will find the cure. The more you will long to achieve that complete liberation, complete freedom. If that is not there, it will not be there. So these two things, understanding impermanent suffering, is so important to make the true journey to Buddhahood. Genuine renunciation, one can develop genuine renunciation. Renunciation means, renunciation basically means, this English word, renunciation, I don't know how much it conveys the meaning, but Tibetan word for renunciation is ngejung, which means definite, literally translated, which means definite emergence. That means definite wish to come out of this quagmire of samsara or suffering. So therefore, the renunciation is really something that must be developed from within your mind with a proper understanding of the suffering. Renunciation is not just leaving home and becoming a monk or throwing away all your possessions, no. And somebody did it, actually, at the time of Milarepa. When he saw Milarepa, he got so inspired. Milarepa has nothing. Nothing. He was very inspired. Then he said, I should also be like Milarepa. Then he started throwing away all his possessions. Chala samayu. And you may some mentally, after 2-3 days, he is not mentally ready like Milarepa. So after 2-3 days, I started suffering. Then he said, this fellow Milarepa, not only he is a beggar, he made me a beggar. Milarepa, the Korampango even Masi, Ngapango Susulabris. So it's not throwing away things when you are mentally not ready. If you are mentally ready, if you have no attachment, then having possessions is not a problem. Bodhisattvas need all the possessions in the world to help others. It's all for people. So it's not so much about the possession, it's really about your mind, your stingy mind. Right? So, genuine renunciation, a deeply felt spontaneous wish to be free from the bondage. Spontaneous means, if we get, a lot of suffering, then you continuously think about that suffering. If you develop this longing to get away from samsara, day and night, effortlessly, continuously, then that is the measure that you have developed genuine renunciation. That's what he's saying. The question then arises, is it possible for an individual to attain such a state of freedom? This is a very important question. We talk about nirvana. Honestly speaking, it almost looks like unapproachable, right? Honestly speaking. Because when we talk about liberation, we are talking about a state where you have none of these negative emotions. Is it possible? Almost like impossible. And especially in today's science. They don't talk about negative emotion. And in fact, they say all these emotions are necessary. Too much of anger is maybe bad, but some element of anger is good. That's what they are saying. Even scientists are supposed to be thinking. The famous statement, fight and flight response came from there. Fight and flight response means if you have some of this, fear and other emotions, then there is a risk, there is a danger, you can run away. So these emotions are helpful, they are necessary. And then, of course, those of us who don't think, we think these negative emotions are necessary. Attachment is important. I'll bring closer to this person. Anger is necessary. I'll kick away this enemy, things like that. Samgidwa. So the question arises, is it necessary? And then is it possible? But don't worry about nirvana. Don't worry about nirvana. The thing that you need to understand right now is a very special, unique quality of the mind, which is different from the physical body, is that the mind can be trained to a limitless state. Unlike the body. In the case of the body, how much ever training exercise you give, there is a limit beyond which it will not be able to go. For example, you may be today the world's #1 gold medalist in long jump. World's #1. In addition to that, you do more practice. But it will never happen that you will be able to jump from one mountain to another mountain. Have you seen one like that? Because, and likewise, water, you boil and boil, it becomes hot and hot. Then 100 degrees. After that, what? Changes into vapor. Same la. The interesting thing with this mind is, it has like many, countless terabytes, gigabytes, whatever, you can put inside it. And the mind will never say, I'm completely full. Bring another pen drive. It's very interesting. So that shows the capacity to develop all these positive qualities and the capacity to remove negative emotions. For the time being, don't worry about nirvana enlightenment, but one thing that you can clearly see is if you make an attempt, you will become more calm, less angry, and happier. Start from there. Start from there. So this is where the significance of the third seal becomes evident. That I have already explained, that things do not have independent existence. Things are dependent, so therefore you can develop the positive qualities, remove the negative qualities. Because negative emotions and sufferings, they are also dependent on causes and conditions. If you remove the causes and conditions, they will not arise. Similarly, with the positive emotions, positive practices, they are also dependent on causes and conditions. And if you cultivated the causes and conditions, you can develop these positive emotions. So the path from impermanence and unsatisfactoriness to selflessness is quite clear. We already discussed. We learned from the principle of dependent origination that things and events do not come into being without causes. We also noted that suffering and unsatisfactory conditions are caused by our own delusions, not just by any cause, but our own delusions and contaminated actions induced by them. The underlying root of all delusions is the fundamental ignorance. What is ignorance now? Ignorance means ignorance means seeing things as having the underlying root of all delusions is fundamental ignorance, misapprehending the nature of reality. What is the nature of reality? What? Nature of reality is that things are interconnected, interrelated, but this ignorant mind says things have independent inherent existence. This ignorance is a state of misconception. We already read that. Since it misapprehends the nature of reality, it has no valid grounding. The mind, the wisdom mind that sees things as having dependent existence, that has valid grounding. Because things exist by depending on each other. And the mind perceives that reality. Whereas in the case of ignorance, it has no valid grounding. Because the reality is that things are dependent, but this stupid mind sees things as having independent existence. That's the meaning. This one. In fact, it apprehends reality in a manner contradictory to the way things actually are. Things actually are means, in actuality, things are in the nature of depending on each other, depending on causes and conditions. This one. Hence, it is an erroneous and distorted state of mind. As this is so, it opens up for us the real possibility of eradicating it. Anything that is mistaken, wrong, can be removed. Just like the misperception of the coil of rope as a snake, as I explained yesterday. You remember that? That's very helpful. Right? And when you remove this misconception, you remove your fear. In the beginning, when you have this misconception, seeing the coil of rope as a snake, there's no snake, but you develop an equal amount of fear as if there is a real snake. So when you eradicate that ignorance, then you achieve the fourth seal, which is liberation, nirvana. We can accomplish this by generating the insight that can penetrate the illusion created by this misconception. So we need to develop wisdom. True cessation means cessation of negative emotions. Negative emotions come to an end. That true cessation is the state that's free from the distorted way of perceiving the world. It is an actuality that you can bring about within your own mental continuum. So we are not talking, in Hindi we say, hawa mein baat kar nahi kar rahe hum. This is something that you can actually achieve, that's what he's saying. It's not a mere ideal. The nature of cessation is true peace. Nirvana is peace. This is the fourth seal. Because this is a peace because you have removed all the negative emotions. It is these negative emotions that makes your life agitated, turbulent. Now you are turbulent free. You are peaceful. Hence the fourth principle, nirvana is true peace, is also directly relevant to your practice. To summarize what we are saying is we all agreed that we all want not only peace, not only happiness, but long-lasting happiness. That is some key. Many people, some people, in fact, from long distance, called me and asked me, Geshe, I'm very interested in studying Buddhism, but how to start? So my simple view is, or answer is, that first you need to ask this question to yourself, whether I want happiness or not, whether I want long-lasting happiness or not. Start from there. Be realistic, be practical, and once you develop this clear understanding that I want long-lasting happiness, then you ask the next question, from where this long-lasting happiness will come. The long-lasting happiness will come by understanding the reality, the way things are. Because much of this problem, as we already discussed, arises from misconception, ignorance, which produces all the negative emotions. And when you develop all these negative emotions, your mind becomes distorted. For example, when you get angry, you are not able to analyze what is right, what is wrong. When you get angry, you become mad. Those people who are called as mad, what is the definition? Why do we call them mad? We call those people mad because that person is unable to make a discrimination between what he is saying, what he is thinking. So you become exactly that when you get angry. A clear indication is that when you're angry, you say so many things. When the anger has cooled down, then you realize your mistake. Similarly, attachment. All these negative emotions, when they arise, then it confuses your mind. It clouds your mind. You are not able to see the reality. And when you are not able to see the reality, you become a little bit of crazy, you become a little bit mad, and you make stupid decisions. And if you are somebody who is very fond of sweets, and if you don't take time to judge whether it's good for you, not good for you to eat too much sweet or not, just because of this temptation, if you don't analyze, don't think, just keep on eating, the next day you say, so what I'm saying is, even on these small things, whatever you're doing, as much as possible, analyze it. Analyze it. And this is a common sight these days because in the internet and the computers, there's so many information available. You eat banana, this is so good for your health, this is, this, that, and so forth. Then people start thinking, all I have to do is just keep on eating banana. Banana yang there's not one thing which will solve all your problems. There may be some good things there in banana, other good things in some other things, but you should use all this in a measured state, then it will be useful. Right? So therefore, the key question is, I want happiness. I want long-lasting happiness. Nirvana means long-lasting happiness. So you're basically saying, I want long-lasting happiness. From where I will get it? From the wisdom, understanding the reality. Why do I have to develop this wisdom, understanding emptiness or reality? Because I suffer because of not knowing the reality. That's the point. So these 4 seals are really, really important. I think I've just scratched the surface, and you need to spend more time, read more book, and then you'll get some sense. Not just difficult Buddhist books. Sometimes these days there are some easy to understand explanations also. Start from there and then go a little bit deeper, slowly. And the main thing that this text is saying is there is a gap between appearance and reality. There is a gap between appearance and reality. Appearances are deceptive. Appearances are deceptive. Appearances are deceptive. Number one, appearances themselves are deceptive. And secondly, according to the brain science, the brain itself is deceptive. The brain makes stories. What you see, from there, the brain makes stories. And yesterday I spoke about this word, cognitive shortcut. There I said that in a short time, relatively short time, you are bombarded with so many information that your mind simply can't handle all of this information. Then what you do? You pick and choose something that is relevant to you, that you think maybe not necessarily relevant, good, but you think it's relevant, and then you play with it. Cognitive shortcut. And the information that you normally collect is something that you think is good, but actually these are good maybe temporarily at the best, not more than that. Right? So therefore, as much as possible, it is important to use your common sense. Although common sense is not very common, but we need to, as much as possible, to. Recently I was reading a book where he says, yes, we all need common sense, but what we get is common nonsense, not common sense. But that should not discourage us. We should really take time, reflect, and read and think about some of these teachings. And if you really want to make your life meaningful, and then of course, when we talk about becoming happy or making our life meaningful, what is the way to make your life meaningful? What do you think is the way to make your life meaningful? Many people think my life will be meaningful if I live long. I will be happy if I live long. That is again grasping of permanence. If I don't live long, now since you already heard about this, the first seal which spoke a lot about death, you might have started thinking, oh, life is meaningless, I'm going to die. That's wrong. You can make your life meaningful today. If you live properly, nicely, harmoniously today, that today is part of your life. Apart from today, apart from this hour, there is no separate thing called your life. So that's how you make your life meaningful. And if you don't do that, even if you live long, very, very long, you will not be able to make your life meaningful. And I have repeatedly told this old Indian story of this father. Did I tell this story this time? Father gentleman who lived for 1,000 years. Did I tell this story this time? No? So there was a gentleman who lived for 1,000 years. And during this course of 1,000 years, he married 100 women. So then with this marriage, he had 100 sons. So when he was 1,000 years old, the Lord of the Death came, the messenger of the Lord of the Death came, and he said, you lived very long. Now you are 1,000 years old. It's your time to go. Then you know what he said? Yes, I know. I'm 1,000 years old, but I don't want to die. I want to live long still. You can take one of my sons in place of me. So we are like that. We want to live. And then the messenger of death goes to the eldest son and he says the same thing. He said, no, I don't want to go. Talk to my younger brother. So he keeps on going down and down, and finally he meets that youngest son who was only 15 years old. Then he said, are you ready to go? He said, yes, I want to go. And he was shocked. How come that your father who lived 1,000 years, then all your elder sons, elder brothers, they lived so long, nobody wants to go. And why you are so excited? He said, no, My reason is that if my father and all my elder sons, they lived so long, I didn't get anything. I don't think I will get anything by living long, so I am excited to go. It's a very, very beautiful story. So the point is, it's not by living long, but it's living properly, nicely, each moment, each day, each hour, that you can make your life meaningful. Just by showing a small gesture of smiling to somebody, extending a helping hand, bringing more harmony where there's no harmony, more unity where there's no unity. These are the ways to bring happiness and make your life meaningful. Rava, that's important. That's very important. Life may be short, but it will be wonderful if we know how to live it properly. Life will be like heaven. Life will be heaven if you know how to live properly. Again, this one, it says somewhere, I don't know whether I can find it, but he basically says, he said somewhere that we talk about heaven, going to heaven, but he said heaven will be here, right with us. If you are able to live a life full of love, full of compassion, full of harmony, that's really heaven. And it's possible. Heaven is not a separate place where you go and then you stretch out and relax. No. Heaven is the state of your mind. You can be happy, right? It's very important. All right? And then there is a piece from Einstein, which I'll read for you, but you should next time, What I'm trying to do is use some of these Buddhist teachings related to the thoughts of some eminent scientists and philosophers of the world to make sense, right? So here, Albert Einstein on the interconnectedness of our fates and our mightiest counterforce against injustice. And he says there is a human right which is infrequently mentioned, but which seems to be destined to become very important. This is the right or the duty of the individual to abstain from cooperating in activities which he considers wrong or pernicious. It's important. Even if we are not able to go out in the thick of the problem and fight and challenge, but we should not be an accomplice of the wrongdoers. Gandhi spoke about non-cooperation. It's very important. And he says we must mend what has been torn apart. That's our job. Our job is not to divide, tear things apart, break things apart, which crazy people do all the time. Our job is we must mend what has been torn apart. What is falling, we must raise it up. Make justice imaginable again in a world so obviously unjust. Don't say everybody is unjust, therefore I should also join them. No. In fact, justice is needed where there is no justice. And give happiness a meaning once more. But that mending is patient, steadfast, often unglamorous work. It is the work of choosing, the real work is choosing kindness over fear. Again and again. Never get discouraged. Again and again. In the smallest of everyday ways. Those tiny triumphs of the human spirit which converge. If you do that, you'll get happiness. And I'm sure if you just try to recall, you all have this experience. And a small thing that I did once, which I can never forget, is when I was in Delhi, there was a little girl, maybe 6, 7 years old, with beggar, disabled here, with a little, hand. Whenever I see this, little hands, people, boys and girls begging, and I feel very sad. So this little hand, stretching out. I give 10 rupees. Imagine 10 rupees is nothing. And then they took that 10 rupee, and then I went on the other side of the road to go to some other place in a three-wheeler. So when I just rode in the three-wheeler, this little girl still standing there. And when I looked to her, she was waving her hand. That's what I'm saying. Small things you can make others happy. Very small. Don't need big things. Small things. There are many people who have nothing. Small things. That's what he's saying. In the work of choosing kindness over fear, again and again, in the smallest of everyday ways, those tiny triumphs of human spirit which converge in the current of courage, that is the only force by which this world has ever changed. If you live in a society, live in a world where nobody shows kindness, what will you expect from them, There are so many people who had nobody to talk to, a lot of problems, I have so many stories like that. When I was working with His Holiness in his office, so very often, the office asked me to meet those people who come to see His Holiness because, all of these people can't see His Holiness. So they just throw me down and say, Geshe Lhakdor, go down and try to answer them or, take care of them. So once I went down, there was a black woman with her son, very young son. Then she started saying all her problems. I just listened. And then after that, when I started opening my mouth and started saying something, you know what she said? I don't need any answer from you. You're the first person who listened to me so patiently. Thank you so much. And she cried, touched my hand and left with happiness. I'm not saying I have any special power, nothing. But sometimes, what I'm saying is there are people who want to say something but nobody to tell to, nobody to confide to. And this is one example. I have many stories like that. Right? So it's important, to bring hope in the mind of people. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm reading this. That's what Albert Einstein examined in a beautiful autobiographical piece titled The World as I See It. The World as I See It. I've circulated this to many, many places. You remember? You got it last time. Two of my students are here. You were also probably there. So I read this. Exactly like Buddha's teaching. So Albert Einstein in this piece, The World as I See It, originally published in the 1930 issue of the magazine Forum and Century, and later included in Ideas and Opinions in the public library, the invaluable compendium that gave us Einstein's reflection on the secret to his thought process, the common language of science, and his increasingly timely message to posterity. 3 centuries after Newton popularized his famous standing on the shoulders of giants metaphor, Einstein writes, so this is what he's saying. So Einstein says, how strange is the lot of us mortals. How strange is the lot of us mortals. Each of us he is here for a brief sojourn. For what purpose he knows not, though he sometimes thinks he senses it. But without deeper reflection, one knows from daily life that one exists for other people. First of all, for those upon whose smiles and well-being our own happiness is wholly dependent. And then for the many unknown to us, to whose destinies we are bound by the ties of sympathy. Therefore, Einstein says, 100 times every day, he's a great thinker, 100 times every day I remind myself that my inner and outer life are based on the labor of other men, living and dead, And that therefore I must exert myself in order to give in the same measure I have received and I am still receiving. I am strongly drawn to a frugal life. I don't try to live a luxurious life. I am strongly drawn to a frugal life and am often oppressively aware that I am engrossing an undue amount of labor for my fellow man. I regard class distinctions. I regard class distinctions as unjustified and in the last resort based on force. I also believe that a simple and unassuming life is good for everybody. Physically and mentally, simple life. So beautiful. Reflecting on the irreplicable subjectivity of the notion of the meaning of life, Einstein considers his own, and he says, to inquire about the meaning or objects of one's own existence or that of all creatures has always seemed to me absurd from an objective point of view, and yet everybody has certain ideas which determine the direction of his endeavors and his judgments. In this sense, I have never looked upon ease and happiness as in ends in themselves. So there's this ethical basis I call the ideal of a pigsty. The ideals, the ideals which have lighted my way and time after time have given me new courage to face life cheerfully have been kindness. Geshe Lhakdor. Beauty. Beauty said, Karina Yaga Chata to it. Duxajan Jata Maduch. If beauty means, if you have the way to see, the world is beautiful. The mountains, the rivers, the people, really beautiful. Mila Duxtan and Mirel Chichu Dua. Beautiful. Beauty. Kindness, beauty, and truth. Now, in the case of kindness, he says, without the sense of kinship with men of like mind, chikche. The beauty, without the occupation with the objective world. And then the truth, the eternally unattainable in the field of art and scientific endeavors. Tuso mena, life would have seemed to me empty. So what I'm trying to drive at is that the more and more you see the truth, the reality, then the more and more you will be able to appreciate beauty and your relation with other human beings and the need to take your part and responsibility to make this life or make this world a better place to live in. Right? Tujise, thank you. Chanjo semjo rembo che ma che ba nam che jor chi che ba nyam ba me ba yang kong ne kong do phe wara sho. Pama semjen tham che de dan den jor chi ngen do tham che da do pon wa da chanjo semba kan no su jo te da kun je mo lam do jor chi. Oh ya tujise.